Welcome back. You're still watching the Nile article, and as I mentioned, I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Ms. Haneen Hazem AbuShanab, the member of the General Union of the Palestinian Women. Ms. Haneen, thank you very much once again for being with us tonight. And in the past report, we looked into the future and the possible future participation for women in the Gaza Strip and for the rest of the Palestinian territories after the implementation of the second phase of the ceasefire agreement. How do you see it?
A very optimistic perspective towards what was actually on the ground.
Yes.
But again, a very practical and a very let's go back to a reality check in one way or another. So the second phase of the agreement needs to be put into reality, needs to be put into implementation phase, not just some agreement on paper. It needs to be put into practicality and actualization. Needless to say, as any supposed community, women actually constitute 50% of such population. That is the actual numbers actually for the Palestinian population, whether in the Gaza Strip or Palestine as a whole, or even Palestinians in the diaspora. For every sub-segmentation of the Palestinian population as a whole, women actually constitute around 50% of the total population. Unfortunately, in the Gaza Strip, given the genocide and the hundreds of casualties and the losses of lives and the losses of life as we know it, around 70% or around 70,000 households are actually led by women in the Gaza Strip. We're talking about almost 1 to 7 households actually led by females. It's very, very challenging because they are capable, they're not capable, but they're not really empowered, they're not really supported with the needs that they actually require to sustain such life. And we are talking about the political and the agreements that are put in place and diplomatic even approaches towards finding a resolution to the Palestinian state and the Palestinian cause and what's being committed against them nowadays. The representation of the female population is not quite fair, yes. Let's be honest. Even with the attempts to increase, we're talking about almost 35% call for females to be represented in whatever political parties. The factions are actually adopting that as well, whether in the ministries, whether in the government, even in the technocratic government that we're seeking in the Gaza Strip and so on. We are calling for more formal presentation of the females because they know what struggles the females are actually undergoing. Out of the 50% population that females actually represent, roughly 60% of them are in the age where they are old enough to be responsible or be aware actually of what responsibilities they can yes. Take on, and they are in the age of getting married, they are in the age of taking care of a house, and they are in the age of formal labor work. So these require certain focus, these require certain empowerment, require education, require healthcare in a certain way, and we've seen how that has not been met by the bare minimum actually, whether in the 3 years that had passed or even throughout history. Females have been suffering intensely. The occupational forces have targeted the females in their different age groups. Yes. They targeted the infertility, they targeted females in specific, they targeted, we saw multiple cases of pregnant women being targeted and their embryos actually killed. So we need to enable them in the proper way that they require. They have not stopped. Besides, they just survived. They had to keep the life going. So they stepped in without being asked. Whether it's economically, whether it's logistically, whether it's management of the house, whether it's running after getting a glass of water so that the house can, all the inhabitants of the house can drink some clean water, or cooking, or actually taking care of the injured. And if they have newborns, they need to take care of them. Yes. If they have elderly in them, whatever place that they're living in. They need to take care of those people as well. Sanitary prisons is horrible, very horrible, and females have been, I don't want to say excluded, but they have not received the required attention that they deserved. It's endless. The specific ailments or health issues that the females are in question of or targeted with, they're not really receiving the health care that they require. Let's assume that a female was pregnant with a child and they gave birth. They require certain caretaking afterwards. The babies require that as well. It's horrific. The overall situation is horrific, but it's very positive that we are shedding specific light over this issue. Let's enable them, let's provide them with what they need, let's put them in the right places, let's give them a voice to be heard. Let's actually, maybe later we can discuss this further, but even the sustainability of whatever agreements, they require female prisons to keep them sustainable, not just something that's agreed and we signed off and put aside. So it's very important, very crucial, and it's just about time actually.
Yes, you stated that we need to be implementing the second phase of the ceasefire agreement, but there are obstacles, there are hurdles. How do you see the hurdles nowadays? How can we be overcoming it, especially with the Egyptian mediation as we saw in the past week?
Absolutely. Nothing new, unfortunately, despite the new attempts to halt and to prolong the implementation of such progression actually supposedly in the peacemaking agreement. Needless to say, Egypt is relentless with its efforts, and from bottom up or top down, everyone is doing everything they can. Turkey stepping in very strongly as well, trying to push and exerting some pressure as well. Qatar, needless to say as well, US has came back into the picture, putting some pressure as well, but the agendas are somehow conflicting. The intentions are different. Everyone wants their own benefit. Egypt still remains the true ones who believe in the peacemaking, that peace in the region actually starts with resolving the Palestinian state, has been very strongly fighting for the rights of the Palestinian people by all their categories of rights. Making sure that their land still belongs to them, no one takes over them, and the displacement is a red line, no one gets displaced. Humanitarian aid, that's a topic that has not stopped being primarily shed light on or exerted efforts with or spoken about. Negotiations, increasing the supply. Egypt has not stopped for a single day or for a single second actually trying to pursue this and trying to turn the words into a reality, making those promises become a reality as well. So Egypt has been very patient and very wise with overcoming every obstacle that's being placed actually. The liabilities are tremendous, but again, Egypt does not stop by that. They keep pushing, and they know they stand with very strongly actually with the Palestinian people and the Palestinian government. So both in the humanitarian side and the formal presentation or the formal solidarity. So we are seeing this, it's not just words.
Yes, but the females, as you mentioned, in the Gaza Strip and for the rest of Palestine, they are not receiving the treatment that they should be receiving. Absolutely. They are not getting the attention that is required after the implementation of the ceasefire fully and fairly to every side. Do you think that this will change?
Supposedly, yes. Maybe, let me say why. Because the NGOs primarily, they are after such enablements, and they do not let any opportunity such these offerings pass by. Actually, I was talking with some people in the Gaza Strip, and they were telling me the NGOs have been actively holding workshops for the females specifically, so they are targeting the females. They always know, they are always after raising awareness, and they always target the females in the different age groups, and they try to, let's say, some families are not really in favor of providing educational possibilities or opportunities for the female parts of their family.
Yes.
It's cultural biases,
but it is outdated. Yes.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate it still remains. But however, they push towards anything that generates money. So they push and let the girls go to learn whatever handcrafts or whatever skills that would actually generate money. So they push the females to work in the whether it's the nurseries or as a nurse, or some that have the arts inspirations, or they prefer to be expressing themselves in an artistic way, whether in embroidery or paintings or whatever. Even the poets, they are given a certain space, or they're given a certain support to express those and to actually generate money from such activities. Even those who like to cook, they cook and they sell. They do some desserts, or they do whatever, they sell that as well. We've seen this also during the very hard times during the genocide. Some families had extra or additional food supplies, so they used to cook and sell for the other people to generate income, because their men were not really working, or they do not have a solid or a sustainable income. So we've seen this happening. The workshops, they do not really stop. So even if it's not through the formal channels, the informal channels or the non-profit organizations, they still continue to do it. So the Palestinian fabric, or the Palestinian community, is very giving by its nature, and we've already seen this also during the war. Teachers, for example, they have not stopped. They went on and held circles, and they brought the children, and they conveyed those whatever they could teach to the children. So that
even
the children,
without the schools. Without
schools, it's just a circle. I'm living in this tent, and the neighboring tents, just come, bring your children, and let's hold this study group. Let's assume that one girl in this family is actually registered in whatever program in a university. She brings her fellow neighbors, and they go and study. They share the knowledge. We are very giving in nature, the Palestinian people. So we see this, it does not stop. So this is why I'm optimistic in this end, that even if it's not through the formal or through the ministries or whatever, the people themselves, they actually go and do that. But positively also, with the reforms that are actually taking place, whether starting from the government moving down, the presentation of the females have increased. So that means that their voices are being presented more properly, more proportionately, so that you cannot speak on behalf of a woman, regardless of how well educated the males are, regardless of how indulged they are, or engaged in the female issues. But no one understands the female pain besides a woman, or but a woman actually. So we're seeing such movement. I'm also positive that with the choices that are made to put females in leadership positions as well, those picked females are actually of good character. They are fearless. They are they are well equipped actually with the expertise and the skills. So this gives me even further hope that the percentage will actually increase. It's not just a percentage, it's actually effective, it's efficient. It's not just numbers that we report for the communities internationally to provide whatever funds. It's just actual practicality being put into the picture, inshallah.
And speaking of the communities in Palestine, and more specifically for the Gaza Strip nowadays, after the genocide had taken place ever since 2023, and even until now the violations continue. You've mentioned the roles of the non-governmental organizations. They are raising awareness for the females within the Palestinian communities for certain issues like education, for example. What are the other roles that are being undertaken by the non-governmental organizations there? Okay,
let me also shed a light on a different element, not also by the NGOs. This is why I'm telling you, Palestinian people are very generous in their nature. X number of doctors, or X number of healthcare providers, specialized in certain areas. They left their houses and went to the hospitals and stayed there to provide health care. One of them in the gynecologist field, because that was a field that's very suffering in tremendous amounts actually, because there wasn't enough delivery rooms for the females to give birth, the pregnant women, and taking care afterwards and so on. So they just volunteered. I was talking to one of them and she was like, it's my duty. I volunteered. I went, I left my house, I said goodbye to my parents because I don't know if I'll be coming back. She left and she went there. Her colleagues followed. We've seen this also with the male doctors as well. They left their houses and they went. So it's not just the teachers or the education field, also the healthcare, of course. Social workers, needless to say, they have not stopped for a day. We've seen this also in the schools where people seek refuge. They created activities a number of times. It was endless with the very basic resources that they had. They created an atmosphere of some positivity for the children and for the people to ease of some of the tension that there hasn't stopped around the clock actually. So in the different fields people have not stopped. Those who were able to create some crafts, they created and they gave it away to also spread the positivity around. Those who were nowadays, since we can say it's almost settled, or some stability is being seen, if we can call that stability.
Yes.
We're seeing more people getting married. We're seeing in a more humane matter actually, besides what was happening in the past 2 years. Some we can maybe put them under the event planning or decoration activists or people who like to do such activities. We have seen this becoming even something like a startup or something like a small business. Those who know how to make some crafts or some giveaways and so on, they started to do those actually and present those items or those decorations for people going to propose, or those who are getting married, because the Palestinian folklore is also it has multiple events. The marriage itself, it has multiple events and so on. So they try to introduce some positivity, and they do not stop inserting this folkloric and cultural activities into their daily life. Again, they're trying to create some revenue streams for their own honorable and prideful living, because it's not just about the aid.
Yes.
Aid will stop one day. We need something that's sustainable. This is why I'm telling you, if any plan needs to be sustainable, we need women put in there. It's actually reported in the UN. It's one of their reports saying that 35% of plans where women are incorporated in the decision making or put in the operational body of such agreements, they have more possibility, or 35% actually more possibility for those agreements to continue or to sustain actually. So we need that. It also shifts the agreements or the implementation of whatever framework that we are looking for to be flavored with humanitarian or with humane side as well, because males tend to be practical, hands-on. They're talking about facts. Unfortunately, they dismiss certain aspects that the females bring to the table, human nature. So I'm looking at it in a positive way actually, despite the horrific and very, very dark overall situation. Yeah.
Yes, and speaking of positivity, you've mentioned the cultural aspects of the Palestinian community in the Gaza Strip and for the rest of the Palestinian territories. You've mentioned the social aspects, that they keep getting married and having children. And this in itself is an act of rebellion against the Israeli occupation forces. It's not just a marriage and to be having feasts and to be eating, because you mentioned as well that the Israeli occupation forces, they are fighting that with infertility.
Absolutely.
For example,
it hasn't stopped.
Against the women, to be targeting the pregnant women. Tell me more about this act of rebellion, because the outer world should be understanding what is happening there.
Absolutely. Thank you for shedding light on that.
Anytime.
It is indeed a means of resistance as well. So this is how the Palestinian people are very clever with their ways, and it fortunately actually drives the opponents crazy, because it goes against everything that they aim or they target. They invest in military weapons, they invest in plans, they invest in creating allies and agreements and so on, and even creating some economical and political pressure over the countries that support the Palestinians or fund them and so on. But they see all this effort that they do goes in vain against the very natural biological ongoing of Palestinian life. And subhanallah, the Palestinian people have this faith ever since history. They do not just go and have a child or two. They have
big families.
Big families.
Yes.
And subhanallah, maybe this is why the Palestinians have actually remained in place, because one of the targets of the Israeli story is to use the population card to outweigh or to gain legal support for their legitimacy over the Palestinian land. They're talking about population versus population, so this is why they always target in mass the destruction in people. All Palestinians are civilians in nature, so this is why they're after big numbers. We're talking about families that have completely been wiped out and erased off the civil register. In spite of that, Palestinians get married, especially in the Gaza Strip, and they give birth and they reproduce in amounts and in numbers that they do not actually go, if we talk about logical or
living standards and money.
No, nothing, because actually I was thinking about that myself, of course, and those who are in such fields or disciplines. It does not make sense. You're not really receiving the healthcare that you require or that you need, but yet you go for that, and you. So it is very brave actually of them, and it is very rebellious in nature, of course. And subhanallah, the Almighty just provides, even if with the very basic. Because let's assume that let's just target only the newborns throughout the last 3 years. They have not received any vaccination, let alone the other the normal children in their normal progression in life. None of those have received any vaccination, and those vaccines who had actually been allowed in the Gaza Strip, they're not sufficient, or they do not actually match the required amounts. But again, they are saved. Life goes on. Those who were very malnutrition, they somehow, when things settle, inshallah, in the near future, their health, they gain it back. We've seen this also with the Palestinians who came to Egypt to receive health care and receive treatment. We've seen this. I've seen people myself, actually. I've visited some in the hospitals, and I know some from relatives and so on. We've seen them skeletons, flesh, it's very, very sad.
Yes.
And now, alhamdulillah, they are normal. They are back to normality in a way or another. So,
and throughout all of this, they have remained in place.
That is a very important thing.
They haven't left.
Yes.
The talks of displacement, the plans, the suggestions of the US President for the displacement of the Palestinians from the Gaza Strip into Egypt, into Jordan, it was, of course, rebuffed by both the Egyptian and the Jordanian leaders. But the Palestinians themselves, they have not thought of leaving. Actually,
people who had left the Gaza Strip fleeing from the genocide are actually rushing, registering their names, trying to go back. And I asked them, sorry, are you nuts? What are you going back to? They say, no, it's my land, I cannot leave. I was here only for a short period of time, I'm seeking refuge. I cannot. But your families had, sorry, some people have actually lost completely their whole family.
Yes.
Females, actually, not just men. I asked her, why are you doing this? Your whole family has, she's like, no, I belong there, I cannot live outside. We are like fish, we cannot live outside of sea. So subhanallah, it's inherent in their spirit, not just blood. They cannot live away. Even you see, Egypt has throughout history, besides the war and the aggression, people used to come here for work, for trade, the businessmen, sorry,
Yes.
for tourism and so on. Egypt has been a stop for them to go outside and come back. Pardon me. They always go back.
Yes.
They do not stop.
You need to take a break.
Yeah, please.
Yes, we'll be having a quick break, so stay tuned for the Nile article.
Thank you in time.
The economic fronts of the future for the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and the efforts of Egypt to be alleviating the suffering on the shoulders of the Palestinian citizens in the Gaza Strip and for the rest of the Palestinian territories. I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Ms. Haneen Hazem AbuShanab, the member of the General Union of the Palestinian Women. Thank you very much once again for being with us tonight on the Nile article. Most of the international organizations, the institutions, they always see the Palestinian women through the lens of suffering, that they can't do anything, they are helpless. But how about the future? Do you think that they could be participating in the political arrangements, in the organizational skills? What are the capabilities of the Palestinian women that could be enabling them to be participating actively in the future?
It's a very, let me put it, I'm very strongly defending this. It's not a true statement at all, actually, and it's part of the Israeli narrative, because they keep on demolishing and shrinking the Palestinian prisons in all means possible. Throughout history, Palestinian, whether they are scientists, whether they are teachers, whether they are media personnel, Shireen Abu Aqla, for example, she's one of plenty, politicians, take carers, medicine people, in every possible field and every possible discipline that the Palestinians, similar to any people they can take on, there are certain names that flash, certain names that are actually stars in their fields. Let me put this also, or maybe shed a light on Dr. Ariqat, her daughter of Dr. Saib Ariqat, Dr. Dalal Ariqat. She's just recently been acknowledged as a very outstanding actually presentation for the diplomacy of Palestinian people. Why do we not shed light on such achievements and such people? She's not the only one, by the way, but she is one, and we're trying to speak more of such people. We have multiple, it's very saddening to see this, but we are seeing this. Maybe now we are more open to speaking about that. We are more open on breaking the biases, or we're more open to breaking such narrative, and we're strongly speaking and stepping foot actually against such narrative, or against such accusations, let me call them that. Palestinian females have been strongly present, and we cannot demolish or shrink such presence by any means. Most teachers are actually females. Most healthcare providers are female, especially in the nursing or the nurses. Very, very specific fields or very specific items, they are females. We cannot neglect that, we cannot deny that. Maybe now that we are focusing on the political presentation, because that's the main area where females are not fully present, but we are seeing strong approaches to actually have bigger presentation of females, and not just in the factions, but also in the formal and the governmental presentation of the Palestinian for the international community. We're seeing more women taking leadership positions. We're seeing more presentations, whether in the West Bank or hopefully inshallah in Gaza as well, but even in the diplomatic missions, more females are taking leading those missions, not just being part of the team as well. So it's being present. So maybe I'll take this opportunity to try to defy or to defend this accusation again that no, we are present, but we haven't spoken enough about females in leadership positions, about females in entrepreneurship as well. It's not just that. Multiple females, Palestinians just recently as well, have traveled actually abroad, participating in competitions in the entrepreneurship world as well, not just the formal presence as well. So, but again, maybe we are poorly presenting those in the media, or poorly documenting such achievements. Maybe we need to do that more. It's part of fighting, or part of resisting the occupation, because they want to shrink us in every means possible. Yeah.
But what about the Palestinian communities? Because you mentioned that some parents, some families, they are resisting the education of the females, the children, the daughters. Why do they have such a logic and to be focusing solely on getting money and having money? They are out of the house anyway, or out of the family home anyway.
Yeah. It's very okay. It's a very important point to actually discuss. And okay, so females receive, and they are targeted by different types of abuse, especially in the Gaza Strip, throughout. Let's say it increased over the past 20 years, unfortunately. Different ways, and they have this very toxic and very wrong belief that males are primarily the leaders of the house, just because they are males. It's assumed the father is there, and naturally they are responsible for the household.
Yes.
But any other male present is taking control over any other female, even his mother. Such habits or such behavior is new to the Palestinian people. It's part of the agenda that Israel has actually been targeting the community and the Palestinian fabric with, distorting all natural and proper how can I say, interactions or relationships between the people in Gaza specifically and Palestine as a whole, because this division creates, or this distortion creates more and more. It's making the fabric get worse, if you can say that, and it's creating more dysfunctional families, if I may put it that way as well, because those mentalities reproduce such abuse, and they even instill it even deeper in their offsprings as well. They tell the girl, no, you're not good enough. You are a girl. You sit aside. Okay, if she receives an opportunity to work, then okay, go and work, but all the money comes back to me, whether the father, the husband, the brother, or whoever. So we see that even in the marriages that actually take place, unfortunately, the man is not working, the woman is working, and he speaks with a very descending manner that, okay, I will let you work, but all your money comes back to me, and you will even give my parents money as well, just because I let you work. So it's all speaking and misogyny, unfortunately, in control setup, in we will give you the basic rights and we will claim everything. Just be thankful that we let you live, actually. Even in the distribution of inheritance and so on, multiple families actually, they do not believe that females are actually it's not their right. They take over it and they take it and as if it's nothing, actually. So unfortunately, abuse against women is increasing, and non-profit organizations are trying to raise awareness there in Gaza, and they try to target females in the age of getting married, and females, even those who are married, unfortunately the percentage of divorce is increasing tremendously over the past years. Unfortunately, even those marriages that took place in the past 2 to 3 years most of them have actually ended in divorce, and unfortunately men leave the women and their children. They do not take care of them completely, and this is increasing to the economical burden, of course, on the government and the community as a whole, that females are left with their children, and those females have been denied the rights to education, so she does not have a degree, hence she does not have a proper work that she can generate money from. So they're left to the basic skills that they can, basic cooking, basic whatever, and people there are very dignified, so we do not see females working in other homes for cleaning, for example, or whatever. We're leaving those people for aid. Aid is not, it's not a sustainable source of money. So unfortunately, the dignity of those females is hindered, and it's very sick, but we are seeing people trying to reduce the gap, but unfortunately there is some taboo actually, and not all females are allowed to seek help. Some of them unfortunately remain in marriages that they are abusively treated, but they cannot go back to their families because her father cannot afford feeding her or taking care of her and her children. So it's a very, very troublesome situation, and the main sufferers are females. So they are suffering from community, they're suffering from the occupational forces. It's a very, very sad population. We're talking about 60% almost of those 60% of the 50% of the population.
Yes.
We're adding burdens to them, we're adding more responsibilities on them, and we're treating them very badly, and we're not supporting them by the basic needs, to a point that they do not believe that they deserve any help. This is very, very crucial, very crucial. So this needs to be heavily invested in. As we talk, this is why maybe last time when we were talking about reconstruction, people are the main asset of such reconstruction, and it's going to take time. It's not just a day or two, because someone who is brought up believing that they do not matter is very, very sad. However, their instincts, their beliefs, their ability to provide is unshakable, and we see this. It's actually super. It's super. We've seen women pulling her children in very basic resources just to pull her children, moving from one place to another. Very sad, but very resilient in a way, very fascinating.
And they will keep fighting.
They will. It does not stop, and it's just in their nature. I don't know who told them that. It's just there.
Instincts.
Instincts, basically.
Yes, Ms. Haneen Hazem AbuShanab, the member of the General Union of the Palestinian Women. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me on.
Anytime. And we will be having a quick break, so stay tuned.